ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaskar, my dear friends. This is video number 6 on Mundaka Upanishad. This video starts with slok number 7. By him are begotten the various devas, the sandhyas, man, cattle, birds, and also prana and apana, rice and corn, penance, faith, truth, continence, and law. Devas, shining ones, the sacrifices are performed to propitiate these deities in order to enjoy through favor happiness here on earth and hereafter. Sadhyas, a class of celestial beings. Cattle, both domestic and wild. Pranas and apana. Prana is that part of the vital force which regulates a man's breath. Apana works downwards and helps in the ejection of unassimilated food and drink. Rice and corn, which are used in the sacrifices. Penance, men performing sacrifices are required to practice spiritual austerities for the purification of their minds. The penance also produces its own result, faith, an affirmative attitude of mind which accepts as true the revelation of the scriptures regarding the immortality of the soul and the reality of Brahma. Such an attitude begets inner calmness and helps in the fulfillment of various endeavors. Truth, a true report which at the same time does not hurt others' feelings. This verse describes the spiritual origin of various beings, forces, and objects. All the works performed by illumined and unillumined persons may be regarded as sacrificial acts. The work, its auxiliaries, and its result all proceed from Brahma. Verse number 8. From him have sprung the 7 pranas, the 7 flames, the 7 kinds of fuel, the 7 oblations, and also the 7 planes, where move the pranas lying in the cave, which are 7 in each living being. 7 pranas, they are located in the head, the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 nostrils, and the mouth. 7 flames, the 7 acts of sensation produced by the 7 pranas. 7 kinds of fuel, the 7 objects. The pranas are lighted as it were by objects. 7 oblations, the 7 forms of knowledge which are the results of sensation. 7 planes, the 7 centers where the pranas are located. Pranas, here again the word pranas refer to the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 nostrils, and the mouth, and not to the vital forces, usually denoted by the pranas. Though each of these pranas functions in a special center of its own, yet they are all coordinated by the mind. Lying in the cave, the pranas have their centers in the body. At the time of deep sleep, their presence is felt only in the heart. The word cave denotes both body and heart, which are 7, etc. In each living being function 7 pranas created by Brahma. All activities may be regarded as sacrifices performed for the propitiation of the deity. An ordinary sense perception may be looked upon in that spirit. The objects of the senses are given as offerings in the sacrificial fire of the senses. For a seeker of the self, the senses, their objects, and the perceiver are all Brahma. He worships Brahma alone through all actions. Actions, instruments of action, and results of action belonging to the illumined or the unillumined have all been produced from Brahma. Furthermore, verse number 9. From him come all the oceans and the mountains, from him flow rivers of every kind, from him have come as well all plants and flavors by which the inner self subsists, surrounded by the elements, plants, corn, rice, barley, and the rest. Flavors. There are six kinds of flavor, rasa, namely bitter, sour, saline, pungent, sweet, and astringent. Inner self refers to the subtle body which lies between the gross body and the self. Atma, it acts as the self of the gross body. Subsist, the subtle body cannot dwell in the gross body if food is renounced. Surrounded by, that is to say, by the five gross elements which constitute the gross body. It has been stated above that everything is born of Brahma. He alone is the cause of all. As clay is the cause of all earthenware, according to Vedanta, there is no essential difference between the cause and the effect. So there is no real difference between Brahma and material objects. Verse number 10. The Purusha alone is verily the universe, which consists of work and austerity. O my good friend, he who knows this Brahma, the Supreme and the Immortal, hidden in the cave of the heart, cuts asunder even here the note of ignorance, the Purusha, etc. The universe has no existence apart from Brahma. Work and austerity. The universe cannot exist apart from work and austerity. They sustain it. Work signifies sacrifices and their results, austerity, knowledge and its result. They are all produced from Brahma. The meaning is that the universe, with all animate and inanimate objects, is nothing but Brahma. Cave of the heart, that is to say, in the hearts of all beings, even here, before the dissolution of the body, ignorance consisting of desires, actions, and their results. The Upanishad begin with a question regarding that by the knowing of which all can be known. The answer has been given. The universe and all things therein are born of Brahma or the Supreme Self. They are nothing but Brahma. Therefore, when one knows Brahma, one knows the universe. This knowledge is to be attained here on earth, which one still dwells in the body by realizing the identity of the self with Brahma. Its attainment is known as Jivana Mukti or liberation in life. Here ends the first chapter of the second Mundaka. Chapter 2 of second Mundaka. The luminous Brahma dwells in the cave of the heart and is known to move there. It is the great sport of all, for in it is centered everything that moves, breathes, and blinks. O disciple, know that to be yourself, that which is both gross and subtle, which is adorable, supreme, and beyond the understanding of creatures. Luminous. Brahma is manifest in all entities as existence, asti, luminosity, bhati, and bliss, priya, dwells, etc., associated with the functions of the senses and the mind, such as hearing, thinking, seeing, and knowing. The senses themselves are inert and unconscious. It is the light of Atma that enables them to perceive objects. It is Brahma again which appears through Vidya to have become the Jiva or individual self, who experiences through the sense organs objects of form, sound, taste, and so on. Thus, one should contemplate Brahma as the self, the ground of all experiences, cave, etc. The presence of Brahma is felt in the heart as the knower, hearer, seer, and so on, is known, etc. It is the light of Atma that shines in all the passing states of mind. Therefore, Atma appears to be moving, is centered, like the spokes in the nave of a wheel, beyond the understanding, etc. Brahma is beyond the ordinary undisciplined intellect. Brahma is without any form. How then can it be known? The Upanishad describes the method of its realization. All things perceived in the universe are effects and therefore limited. They are dependent upon something else which is their cause. Brahma is the cause and sport of everything gross and subtle and also of Maya. That Brahma again is the inmost self of all and the illuminer of their mental states. A material entity, like a chariot, moves when directed by an intelligent rider. Likewise, the senses, the mind, and the prana perform their respective functions when guided by pure consciousness. Consciousness is indivisible. It dwells in all the inmost self. This is the way one should think of Brahma. Verse number 2. That which is radiant, subtler than the subtle, that by which all the worlds and their inhabitants are supported, that verily is the indestructible Brahma. That is the prana, speech, and the mind. That is the true and that is the immortal. That alone is to be struck. Strike it, my good friend. Radiant, it is by the light of Brahma that luminous objects like the sun, the stars, fire, and lightning are illumined. Subtle, the reference is to small objects such as a grain of barley. It is also to be understood that Brahma is greater than the great. Brahma permeates all objects, subtle and great, worlds, including the celestial planes. Spotted consciousness, Chaitanyam, is the substratum of all relative existence. The prana, etc. The prana, the senses, and the mind cannot exist without the substratum of pure consciousness. To be struck, that is to say, to be known by the mind. Strike it, that is to say, concentrate your mind on Brahma. How is Brahma to be struck? The aspirant should concentrate his mind on the oneness of Brahma and the self through the help of Om. The result is the attainment of liberation by gradual stages. Verse number 3. Take the Upanishad as the bow, the great weapon, and place upon it the arrow sharpened by meditation. Then, having drawn it back with a mind directed to the thought of Brahma, strike that mark, O my good friend, that which is the imperishable. Upanishad. The essence of the Upanishad is Brahma, whose symbol is Om. Arrow. The individual soul, which is a reflection of consciousness or Brahma, sharpened, etc. By means of uninterrupted meditation, the individual soul rids itself of impurities and becomes qualified to meditate on Brahma, having drawn, etc. That is to say, the sense organs should be withdrawn from their objects and the mind directed to Brahma alone. By contemplating the meaning of Om and repeating the sound, the aspirant realizes his self to be the reflection of Brahma. The meditation on the Atma as such is denoted by the placing of the arrow upon the bow. The realization that the reflected consciousness is identical with pure consciousness is described as striking the mark. Beginners are advised to meditate on Brahma through the symbol Om. The illustration of the foregoing verse is fully explained. Verse number 4. Om is the bow, the Atma is the arrow, Brahma is said to be the mark, it is to be struck by an undistracted mind. Then the Atma becomes one with Brahma as the arrow with the target. Om is the bow. As the bow is the cause of the arrows entering into the target, so Om is the cause of the Atmans entering into Brahma. The Atma becomes purified through the constant repetition of Om, and then with the support of this mystic syllable is absorbed in Brahma. The Atma. Here the word means the reflection of the Supreme Self, which is like the reflection of the sun in water. This is called the individual self, the cognizer of the different state of the mind. Like an arrow, it is discharged at the Supreme Self, the immortal Brahma. Therefore, Brahma is said to be its mark by an undistracted, etc. The mind of the aspirant should be free from restlessness caused by longing for external objects. It should be detached from the world through a mind disciplined by self-control and concentration. One can realize Brahma, then the Atma, etc. After reaching Brahma, the Atma becomes one with it. Just as the goal of the arrow, after it has been discharged from the bow, is to be absorbed in the mark, so the goal of the Atma is to become one with Brahma through the elimination of such erroneous ideas as are created by its identification with the body, the mind, and the senses. It is extremely hard to comprehend the imperishable Brahma. Therefore, the teacher exhorts the disciples to give up all vain actions and concentrate on Brahma alone. Verse number 5. In him are woven heaven, earth, and the space between, and mind with all the sense organs. Know that non-dual Atma alone and give up all other talk. He is the bridge to immortality. Atma, he is the inmost self of man and of all living beings. Give up, etc. After knowing Atma as such, one should strive for its realization, giving up everything relating to the lower knowledge. All talk related to the lower knowledge is futile, nay harmful for the seeker of Brahma. Bridge to immortality. Only through self-knowledge can one cross the ocean of interminable births and deaths and attain immortality. Atma is the immortal, and to know oneself as Atma is immortality. Compare by knowing him alone one goes beyond death. There is no other way to liberation. The preceptor gives his blessings to the qualified student for the attainment of knowledge. Verse number 6. He moves about, becoming manifold within the heart, where the arteries meet like the spokes fastened in the nave of a chariot wheel. Meditate on Atma as Om. Hail to you. May you cross beyond the sea of darkness, becoming manifold. The individual self reflected in the mind Jivatma identifies itself with pleasure, pain, anger, love, and other states of mind. Thus one says, I am happy, I am unhappy, I am angry, and so on, depending upon a particular state of mind. But this identification is the result of Maya. Atma is in reality non-dual and unchanging. Heart. The seers of the Upanishads often describe the heart as the dwelling place of Atma or the Brahmapuram. In meditation, one feels its presence very vividly in the heart. Om is to be used as a symbol of Brahma, sea of darkness, ignorance, or Maya. It is the injunction of the scriptures that a qualified teacher should transmit the knowledge of the self to a disciple who, desirous of liberation, has renounced the longing for material happiness here and hereafter. For mediocre aspirants, the following instruction is given. They should contemplate Brahma in the lotus of the heart, shining through the various states of the mind. Thus they attain liberation by gradual stages. Verse number 7. He who knows all and understands all, and to whom belongs all the glory in the world, he, Atma, is placed in the space in the effulgent abode of Brahma. He assumes the form of the mind and leads the body and the senses. He dwells in the body inside the heart. By the knowledge of that which shines as the blissful and immortal Atma, the wise behold him fully in all beings, understands all, etc. He, the all-pervading and omniscient Lord, knows all collectively and understands everything individually, all the glory, etc. Compare, understand the mighty rule of this immutable Ogargi. The sun and moon are held in their positions. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Ogargi, heaven and earth maintain their positions. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Part 3, Chapter 8, Verse number 9. The law, beauty, power, and energy that one sees in the universe are the expression of Brahma's glory, effulgent, abode, etc. The aspirant contemplates Brahma in the heart as a smokeless, brilliant light. He assumes, etc. Consciousness ordinarily remains identified with the states of the mind, leads the body, etc. He leads the subtle body after death to the future gross body. The word anna, meaning food, here signifies the body which is built up and sustained by food. By the knowledge, etc., one obtains this knowledge from the scriptures as explained by qualified teacher and assimilated through the practice of such spiritual disciplines as control of the mind and the senses, meditation, detachment from desires, and renunciation of material objects. The seeker first realizes the supreme knowledge which confers upon him bliss and immortality directly within himself, and then realizes it everywhere and in all objects. The fruit of self-knowledge. I conclude this video here. Next video will start with verse number 8, chapter 2 and So, chapter 2 and Mundaka 2. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Namaskar my dear friends.